I'm not gonna lie. It didn't feel right to make videos today about Ivan Demidov and his arrival in Montreal without talking about one of the other top prospects from the 2024 draft, who is now joining his team today. Demidov was taken in that 5th overall spot, but if you take a look at whom the Calgary Flames ended up selecting in the 2024 NHL Draft, another top-round guy, he was 9th overall, it was none other than Zayne Parekh, who has now been brought into the Calgary Flames organization. Take a look at this. The Flames earlier this morning have recalled Parekh from the OHL's Saginaw Spirit. And this is a really big piece of news, not only because the Calgary Flames have themselves a playoff hunt that you can debate is in full swing right now, and the team is going to need all hands on deck to get into the playoffs, but just because Zayne Parekh is an insanely talented player who deserves his opportunity at the NHL in this stage. Just to throw it out there here, the Flames are 6-2-2 in their last 10. They have 87 points in 77 games, but they are 4 points out of the final wildcard spot with 1 game in hand over Minnesota. So it's not looking too great for Calgary if they go on some sort of a St. Louis Blues-like run and get 10 points in the final 5 games of the year. They would need to hope that Minnesota and St. Louis lose a bunch of their upcoming games. It's not too likely at this point, but still. Also, Edmonton has 93 points, so the Flames are right on their tail if you wanted to say that. Ultimately, though, the Calgary Flames are bringing in a guy who is definitely one of the best defensive prospects in the entire NHL. You could even debate that Zayne Parekh is a better prospect than what Artyom Levshunov was. And I say was because he played a whole bunch with Chicago this season. I don't really know if he's a prospect anymore. But Zayne Parekh is a 19-year-old, 6 feet 185 right-handed D-man out of the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL who scored 107 points this year in 61 games played. 33 goals, 74 assists, and 9 points in 5 games in the OHL playoffs. Zayne Parekh was a top 5 point scorer in the OHL this season as a D-man. By the way, look at Michael Misa, who led the entire league in points as a draft eligible. We could talk about him later on. But Zayne Parekh was the best defenseman in the OHL in terms of points. He is, in many people's eyes, the next best offensive defenseman prospect in the same mold as a Quinn Hughes, a Cale Makar, a Lane Hudson, etc. Just the way Zayne Parekh moves in the offensive zone, how he commands time and space at the blue line, how he exploits open space with beautiful moves and beautiful plays. He can score goals too. Zayne Parekh is a true offensive dynamo whose presence on the Calgary Flames blue line could be met as early on as this season with a whole bunch of points and a top power play role if he's given it. I have no doubt that if Zayne Parekh was placed on the first power play in Calgary, he would add an immediate bump of offensive potential within that system. Now, of course, it's not going to be easy for Zayne Parekh to get some meaningful minutes at this time because you got some other right-handed defensemen in Calgary that are already doing some pretty good things and that are already good. Mackenzie Weegar, Rasmus Andersson are the 1-2 that everybody loves to talk about. Could any of these guys be on their way out? Who knows? If there is a chance for Zayne Parekh to beat out one of these guys, there might have to be some decisions made in the offseason. Who really knows? But just to get a little bit of perspective as to how good Parekh's statistical profile is, take a look at this comment here. This comes from an article on ProHockeyRumors.com. The only other defenseman in OHL history to record back-to-back 30-goal campaigns came in the 1965-1966 season, when an 18-year-old Bobby Orr tallied 38 goals for the Oshawa Generals. This guy literally had a record that no one else has done in the gosh darn OHL since Bobby Orr. Back-to-back 30-goal seasons as a D-man? That never happens in the OHL. Not to mention the fact that the only reason the Saginaw Spirit even won a game in the playoffs this year is because Zayne Parekh worked his magic. He was at almost 2 points a game, and the one game that Saginaw did win was a 3-2 overtime win where Parekh had 2 goals and an assist. I mean, this is a total game changer. I'd say he's closer to Makar than he is to Quinn Hughes stylistically. Of course, ceiling-wise, you could debate where that is, but I think Parekh's a tad bigger. Parekh is a little less spinny than Quinn Hughes is. I think he's a lot more direct in the way he creates offense, a la Cale Makar. Quinn is a more manipulative perimeter guy, although Parekh can do that stuff too. He's a legitimate manipulator, the Elite Prospect Scouting Report says. He doesn't wait for holes to open up in the defensive coverage to make a play. He bends opponents to his will and makes those openings for himself. A combination of fakes, fiends, lookoffs, and handling skills sends would-be checkers into the spin cycle, and out of each cloud of dust emerges Parekh, activating into space to improve the condition of each play before making his decision with the puck. And the Elite Prospects Scouting Report actually does have Parekh having those shades of Quinn Hughes and Roman Josi. So, yeah, that kind of shows you how good this guy's going to be. The best part about it all is that Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, these guys were immediate impact makers in the NHL from the moment they stepped out onto the ice the first time. Zayne Parekh is not going to have enough games played in this 24-25 season to contend for the Calder. He'll still be eligible next year, but if he's able to force himself into the top 4, or maybe even play on the left side, who really knows? Have an off-handed defenseman as a primary offensive tool. That's a really interesting thought process that I think is worth thinking about. Zayne Parekh, if he gets 50-60 points next year, he could very well be a Calder finalist and maybe even the Calder winner. Who knows? It's all going to depend on if the Calgary Flames embrace his offensive potential and skill set right away. The Montreal Canadiens didn't really do that with Lane Hutson. They had to wait a little bit, giving Mike Matheson those extra minutes on the power play and having him be the number 1 offensive guy before Hutson truly took over and started feeding the puck to Laine left, right, and center. Now Hutson is pretty much the favorite for the Calder in many people's eyes. If the Calgary Flames do something similar to that, but they don't inevitably give Parekh those number 1 minutes and that power play ice time, then I don't know if it's going to be all too possible here. Also, the Calgary Flames need to start scoring more goals themselves. They haven't really been too hot this season when it comes to putting the puck in the back of the net. More goals means more opportunities for Zayne Parekh to get points, especially if they come on the power play. But, of course, that's not really what they're focusing on right now. They don't really care about the Calder for next year. The Calgary Flames want to win, and the Calgary Flames are getting some incredible support in the form of Zayne Parekh to help him out for the next 5 games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Zayne Parekh heading over to the Calgary Flames, what his impact could be, and whether or not he could be the next Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.